Dude, what have you been doing? What's been happening?
I don't think we're ready for today.
Don't think we're ready to. He was like,
That was
what you been doing? What's going on?
that's my hey, tell us the story you was going to. You know what I mean? I was trying to.
Okay, here we go.
You know.
Here we go. Yeah. So, okay, here's the story. Okay, so me and my son just got back from Colorado. Great trip. We went to Manitou Springs. And, okay, so last year we was on a camping trip, and it was brought up to us about this place called Manitou Incline, about how it's like, I mean, I can't remember how much, I'd have to look again, but it's like, it's basically the equivalent of like climbing up the steps of the Empire State Building. So when I heard about that, I was like, doing it. You know, not even a second thought, just on a total whim, I'm doing it. And after I said that, I'm like, man, everybody here just heard me saying that I'm going to do it. So I guess I got to do it, right? So fast forward, I do a little bit of training. You know, I'm doing the stair climber at the gym, whatever, for a few months, and then I'm like, shoot, I got this, man.
Sitting on high, just sweating.
Gonna do it, not a big deal. So I stopped training for about 3 months. Anyway, so we decided to go up there this last weekend. Just a little quick trip. Go up there. Me and my son, like I said, we go up there, stay the night. The next day, we're gonna do the Manitou Incline. Just hang out in downtown Manitou Springs, which is awesome, by the way, and then bring it on back home. So we go there, and literally, when you go into Colorado Springs, it's like a mountain, and that you're looking at, and you can see the incline, like that's how tall it is, right? So we go there to the incline, and at the base you can look at all the stats on like how many steps it is, how tall it is, or whatever. And I still remember this. It says it's 2,744 steps. Well, we get to the top. I get to the top, which I'm going to tell that story here in a second. But we get to the top. It's actually 2,768 steps. So we're off by like 20-something steps, right? And I was mad. False advertisement.
This dude's like, I'm about to pull hamstrings. My calves are burning.
Right. So, anyways, we start up the steps, and I knew it was going to be tough, man. But it was tough. It was challenging, man. Garrett's like just a spry little athlete, so he bounces out in front of me, and and I'm just like, man, get the best time, right? So I'm hanging back. I'm trying to stay up, but I'm hanging back. Anyways, man, there was a couple times in there when I thought about quitting. Really, I'm serious. You know, it's tough. I'm an old fat guy trying to climb up these steps. I was down on all fours at one point. You know, just because the incline is pretty steep at some points, and they have little markers as you're going up. You're at step, 500, 1,000, whatever, And there near the end, I'll tell you, I was at a point where I was like, take 10 steps, take 10 breaths, right? So I would, as I'm taking my 10 breaths, I would count out the number of steps that I needed to go to get my next 10 breaths, right?
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting? We did a podcast with Candy Gibbs with Hope Choice, right? And they're talking about doing Wheeler and doing the same kind of stuff. It reminded me of that as we're doing that, because I'm taking the 10 steps, and I'm taking 10 good breaths, man, and then 10 more steps, 10 breaths, 10 steps, 10 breaths. And anyways, near the top, I see Garrett. He's waiting on me. He's waving me up. He's videoing me on his camera, which I still haven't seen that video, by the way. I'm going to. So he's waving me up, and get up to that thing, 2,768, and me and Garrett hug. We tell each other we love each other. Sit around for 30 minutes looking at the view, which is awesome from up there, and then we make our way back down. Just have a great time. But the interesting thing is when we get down. Of course, on the way, when we get down, my first thoughts are like, okay, well, how are we going to celebrate? For me, we're going to go get a big old steak, or a burger.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a big, huge glass of iced tea, sweet tea, as much as I can drink, with all the ice in it. But when we get down, the first place we see is like a little souvenir place, right? Great entrepreneurial idea, right? So you can get Gatorades or ice water, T-shirts, stickers, all the stuff, right? So the first question that was asked when I went up to this place, and this lady asked, so which was harder, the physical challenge or the mental challenge of not quitting? And man, it just hit me, because I hadn't talked to my son about at that time yet about the fact that, man, I thought about quitting.
Yeah.
I thought about just like turning around and just saying I'll see at the bottom, but I'm gonna go back down. That I didn't tell him about that, because I've been embarrassed, man, because as I'm going up, I'm looking at my son and being like, if he can do it, I'm gonna do it. If he's doing it, I'm not quitting, I'm gonna do it. So thank goodness he was there to keep me accountable and keep pushing me. But anyways, so that hit me. So I told her, I was like, man, the mental toughness, the mental aspect of just keeping going was it for me. And Garrett was like, it wasn't tough for me at all, man. I'm just going up this little athlete. So he was like,
floated up the stairs.
I know. He was like, well, my legs hurt. And I'm like, ooh.
Just wait till your knees are creaking.
Exactly.
Wait till your back's aching.
Wait till your hammy starts pulling,
We ain't no spring chickens anymore, man.
So, we get our T-shirt, go have a great time, but that has stuck with me. And it's a mindset. It's a mindset that, I wasn't going to quit. And I've seen videos, just looking on that Facebook page, and seen videos of other people doing it that, like, man, they're older. I've seen a handicap going up there. I mean, it is just the fact that I'm going to do it. So that's what I want to talk about today. How to not quit.
Yeah.
Just got real.
Yep.
Welcome to the podcast. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about not quitting. So, as it applies to life, business, everything we do, I mean, we're all entrepreneurs. We all own our own businesses, operate our own businesses. So there's an aspect to this where most, if not all, people in our shoes, man, we get to a point in our business in the early on where it gets tough. You have to fight through some walls. You have to break some barriers down. You have to have mental fortitude and do exactly what you said and not quit. Because there's a wonderful picture out there that shows like this person digging this like cave, right? And on the other side is like all this amazing stuff, right? But there's like this little section. They do 90% of the work, and then with 10% left, they turn around and walk away and quit, right?
Yep.
And then you have the other person underneath who breaks all the way through, and they get all the success and all this stuff, right? And I feel like in a lot of ways, those are your choices, right? Just like you, Sam, being at Manitou Springs, being on that climb, you had some choices to make. And I want to dive into that a little bit too, about how not only just in your personal lives, but in business as well. Like, what have you experienced to where you've had moments where you're like, I got to think about this. I'm either going to walk away or I need to get something figured out. What were those moments for you, and then how did you overcome them?
Yeah. So, and I think just as we're talking about that, I definitely want to lay some out, but I think there's definitely a time that you can recognize and should recognize, hey, this isn't healthy for me. Mm-hmm. Like I should not keep going. And I say that because I know a story where it just happened to be a pastor, and he was so involved in his church ministry that his marriage was suffering deeply, right? So then he had to make a choice, right? Like, okay, what should I do? Right? So what's healthy? I mean, obviously, he wants to pastor a church, he wants to bring people to Christ. That's awesome. But was that the healthiest choice for him to make? So he chose to, focus more on his marriage and lay back on his church ministry. So not quitting, when we talk about that, and I do want to talk about that, about the not quitting aspect, I just want people to realize, like, there's a healthy, you need to choose what's healthiest for you and your family. Mm-hmm. So for me, my struggle, came in within my first year, I would say, of real estate. I mean, it was the toughest. You're supposed to really, you should set some funds aside to be ready for the hard times, to be ready for like the times when your just business is not going well for whatever reason. You know, I liken it to like the little ants that would collect their share in the summertime and the springtime, and then when fall and winter hit, they got those reserves left.
Yeah.
That's what you need to be thinking about when you're entering into the real estate or any entrepreneurial business. Just have those funds set aside to be ready for the rainy months. And I wasn't ready for that, and that probably I would say in the first year I was on the struggle bus. So I think for me the healthy choice was just to see that I saw a path forward, like on Manitou Springs. I can see the top. I can see the next 10 steps. And so for me, the healthy choice was like, okay, I can see that maybe I'm not doing great now, but I see that the potential, that the clientele, that the possibility of doing real estate is still there.
Yeah. To touch on that, because your business has exploded over the last several months for you, like exploded exponentially. I mean, more than you probably could have even ever expected. But you're at this point in your career where you decided to make a change and you said, hey, I feel like moving to this brokerage was going to be the best thing for my business. And you did. And I mean, you're putting in all the work. But what does that look like for you?
Well, that's good.
What are you doing? because I'm sure there's a lot of people, I know for a fact, a lot of agents are struggling right now.
Right,
They're having
yeah.
a really, really hard time because we're in a different market. Interest rates are high. Things are shifting. Inventory is climbing back up. So what are you doing right now in your business to be successful?
Right. In fact, we're going to talk about some of the statistics today. Man, it's been I'm looking at the statistics and I'm just thinking, wow, over 60,000 agents have left in 2023. Yeah. So I think that for me, it was really talking about real estate as often as I can, not in just an awkward way, but I knew coming when I moved over to this new brokerage and really just coming into real estate. But I will say when I first came into real estate, I was like, I don't know if y'all were like this, but I was kind of afraid to tell everybody that I was a real estate agent. I'm a realtor now, you know?
The worst thing out there is a quiet agent that nobody knows you're an agent.
That's
Yeah,
right.
well, that was me, and I'm like, man, I don't know. I'm telling everybody I'm a realtor, but now I just have this attitude of like, everybody that I know is going to know that I'm a realtor, not in an awkward way, and not in a way that, I'm just trying to buy and sell everybody's home, because I don't think that's necessary either. But I mean, like, when I was a coach and a teacher, I was proud of what I did. I enjoyed what I did, and I was, I enjoyed telling everybody what I did and didn't mind telling my stories about that. When I was a police officer, for sure, and I was proud of what I did, and still in my heart, still in my blood. And I retired in good standing, and I wanted everyone, I was proud to identify as that. So why wouldn't I be the same way as a realtor? So for me, it was not being afraid to tell everyone of what I do. And if they want to go on further with the conversation, great. Let's talk about how we can go further with it. Also with that, as a business owner, I just decided, like, I want to be more of a part of the community. So what's that look like? Is volunteering my time, with the homeschool crowd, which I love doing that. And although I had to step back to focus more on my business, I'm going to step back into that at some point to volunteer my time. Also, there's an aspect of working every aspect of your business. We, in our brokerage, we get services that are given to us, and if whatever brokerage you're in, make sure that what are they providing you? What are they providing you? If they're not providing you with anything, are they really the brokerage that's giving you the value add? Mm-hmm. So whatever they're providing you, you need to take every advantage of that. So, we get a lead system. Work that lead system. Do not fail to work that lead system, because every call that you make, even if they say no to you, one more person out of your sphere of influence knows what you do now. One more person could spread your phone number, your contact information, who you are. So you don't know what that's going to lead to.
Yeah.
I would say that's important for every business owner too.
100%.
Like if there's contractors watching the show, if there's other business owners watching the show, and you're having a tough time in business, it's the same. We're all in the same business as a business owner, right? Whether it's real estate, insurance, whether it's handyman, whatever it is, like you have to go find the business, you have to source the business, you have to nurture relationships, you have to follow up with those relationships, and you have to kind of create your own world for those people to live in that they don't want to go anywhere else. And if you're not doing that, no matter where you're at, what business you have, you're failing in the industry. And if you have the heart of service that we all have, then you should be doing that more than most. Because at the end of the day, you can impact somebody's lives as to where I'm not saying there aren't amazing people out there, but we have a different calling, man. Like our calling right now is to get at the hearts of people. We're trying to make an impact in the lives of people in Amarillo. So we should be in front of more people. We should be having like I'm not saying that we should be having more success, like that should be given to us, but I'm saying that we should be honoring to what we're called to be here, to be putting our names out there, to be serving other people, to be in front of as many people as we can, because we know what we're trying to do. And I love that you said that was one of the things you focused on was getting your name out there. It's like letting people know that you're in the business, and it's like because we know your heart, and at the end of the day, we know you have a heart of service. And so the more people you're around and the more people you're telling, that's the more opportunities that somebody else is going to get cared for in the right way. And so I love that was one of the things you said in the business, like as you struggled, that's what you focused on. You're like, there was that pain point where you're like, I could see this. I might not have it today and it might not happen tomorrow, but I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep pushing through. I'm going to tell people. I think the other big thing with that too is not just doing that, and because we all get in the habit of in this business saying that we're going to do these things, but then it's the consistency behind it. I've failed at that.
Oh yeah,
it's the consistency in it. It's like being consistent on a daily basis. And we talk about that a lot as we coach agents, we coach business owners. Like, hey, what does your schedule look like? What's your time blocking activities look like? What are your priorities in your life, your personal life, your finances, your marriage? Like, prioritize your time around that and time block those so that you can hyper focus on those. People freak out and think they have to do this business 16 hours a day. And I'm like, there's no enjoyment in working 16 hours a day in this business, running from here to there. And I can all but guarantee you your level of service is going down too. So hyper time block, get hyper focused on the things you should be focusing on in your life, prioritize around it, schedule around it, and just try to stick to it.
Yeah.
Have flex time. Life happens. You're not going to control everything. You're not in control of everything. But I think the more that we kind of go about not giving up, being consistent, scheduling around the priorities, what are some other things that helped you guys not quit along the way?
Man, scheduling your priorities, that is probably the biggest thing for me. Getting back in the business full-time just a few months ago, that was conversations that Derek and I had a handful of times, but there was one time I was like, dude, I've got to really get serious about this. So we sat down and we were just talking about like my schedule. He was like, hey, what does your schedule look like? And we were going everything, and I was like, man, this is how many hours I want to put here, and this is how many hours I want to put here. He just looked at me and he was like, why so much? Like, why so long? And I was like, well, I guess that's just what I feel, the amount of time that I feel like I need to put into these things. But exactly like Derek said, if you're hyper-focused for 1 hour on one thing or 2 hours on one thing and then one more hour for something else that is in relation to your business and helping your business move forward, but you're hyper-focused in that time of, hey, I've got 3 hours a day where I am nailing this stuff down. I'm working on 2 hours of lead gen where I'm having conversations. I'm picking up the phone, making phone calls, sending out texts, sending emails, and then maybe another hour for your marketing for social media or marketing period. You've got an open house coming up. Like focusing on those things, but doing that just in that specific amount of time where it's like 3-4 hours a day. And a big priority for me is my family. So if I can spend time with my family, we've got 2 little boys. We have almost 2-year-old and then a brand new baby. He'll be a couple months.
A brand new baby. We call that a newborn. It's like you call it a car, brand new car.
Brand new baby. Brand shiny new.
Hey, he's fresh.
Yeah, he is fresh, man.
No, he's
that's awesome.
But 2 little boys, and so that's really, really important to me. That's conversations that I have with my wife all the time where I let her know And we've had conversations like this because going through the transition of going from one baby to two, now we're trying to figure out how we're going to adjust our schedule and make that work for just everything that we have going on, where I can be home and I can help with kids and give her a little bit of time to do things, or if she needs to go and run some errands while I've got both kids at home, or one, or like trying to balance all of that. It's a challenge, but as we're having those conversations lately, it's turning into more of like, hey, for me, I've personally got to get back to doing my activities consistently. I love that you guys both said that, talking about consistency and doing those things for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, whatever your schedule is looking like, but doing it every single day and not just like when you can.
I think it's important too, what you hit on, that I want people to know and understand. Like, there's almost this falsity in our industry that you have to, like, all gas, no brake, right? Like, one of the worst, like, I stand by that, like one of the worst pieces of advice ever. Because I'm pretty sure even Jesus retreated, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he retreat?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, like, all gas, no brake is not a good thing in this industry. You're going to get burnt out. So okay, for you brought up family, right? That's a priority. You scheduled around it. You made time for it. You have a brand new baby at home. That's where your heart and your priority should be. So for people that are listening to this to grow a business, I promise you, sit down with somebody, your mentor, somebody in your space that is doing what you're doing, that's maybe even ahead of you 5 steps, 10 steps. Figure out how they got there. How did they prioritize their schedule? Because you're going to get better for that, being around them. And there's ways in this business where you don't have to burn yourself out, where you can actually have your time back and be very successful in this business.
Yep.
And I think that's, even in today's industry right now, where 60,000+ agents have left the industry, I still want everybody to know, if I can do it, little old me from Stinnett, America, I promise you anybody can do it. I'm not the smartest, the brightest, or the widest, but with a little work ethic and the right people around you,
That's right.
and you got your faith in the right things, I'm just telling you, you can go a long way.
Yeah. No, I like that. And I think just going back to the right people around you, I think that is probably one of the most important things, because not just in business, but in every area of your life. I know the most successful people in any business situation, the most successful people in the world are people that have accountability partners for every area of their life, whether it's fitness, whether it's a marriage counselor, or somebody that you can have that I guess those conversations with when things are getting hard,
Yep.
but just to encourage a lot of positivity in all of those areas. But that accountability is super, super crucial.
Yep.
In all those areas.
Yeah, and like it's a support. It's kind of like a support group, and
100%,
also that support group. This was why it's good for me, anyways. That support group is when we're just having a good time.
Yep.
Like hey, we do a little disc golf.
Come on.
That's us.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So we go out, just took our kids with us, just having a good time. We're taking a break from real estate, but we're still connecting. And so, take that time to connect with your support group, and not necessarily just talking about business, but just having a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love that. I mean, so the things that help you not quit, right, is you can't give up. You have to have that line in the sand. You have to know ahead of time, like, I'm not going to give up, unless it's a situation like Sam mentioned, to where is it detrimental to you and everybody around you. So I think great advice, right? Like we've talked about all these different steps to, like, how do you not give up? Like, how do you, in business, in life, when you're going through hard situations, what are some things to help you get through those situations? Or, like, where do you find that drive within? And I don't think it's necessarily just within. I'm like, we're talking about basically you may or may not be able to see the steps ahead, but you got the faith to get there, right? Mm-hmm. You have consistency, schedule and priority, support, mentor, and help around your life. And I think those go a long way with not giving up. Was there anything else that helped you guys not give up in your businesses?
I think going back to your why, motivation, why you're doing what you're doing, because that's, man, when I think about where I'm at in my business and the goals that I have, but when things are really, really challenging and when discipline needs to take effect, we talked about this in one of our first episodes, I think, where there's days where you feel like maybe a little bit extra motivated, But the days that you're not motivated, that's when discipline takes effect. That's when you need to sit down and be like, okay, I know that I need to do these things, and I'm going to do it. So going back to your why.
I love that.
I think that's huge.
I think that's huge too. Yeah. If you're not waking up every day, trying to change the world for a better with a clear heart and a clear conscience behind you, it's kind of hard to have a big enough why to support some dreams or loved ones' dreams that are centered around you that depend on you.
Yep.
And I think that's a wonderful thing, and we talk about this a lot in this business, right? As real estate agents, like, you get taught that from day one. What's your why? Why are you doing this? Why are you waking up every day going to this job? Like, and I think the thing is when you have a big enough why, then all these other steps fall into place. Like, when you have that why that drives you day in, day out, no matter what, good times, bad times, it's not going to change. Like. And so if you're a business owner, if you're a real estate agent, if you're a team leader, broker owner, or anybody in the business world or even in small business world, if you're struggling in your business with consistency, if you're struggling with passion and drive and motivation, I would take a hard look at your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Ask that question. And then not just why are you doing what you're doing, what are you putting in place in your schedule every day that's centered around your why?
Yep.
We just got through talking about this, right? We just had a whole clinic about some of this. Yeah. And one of the things was centered around these areas in your life. What are you doing to get that out into this world? If you have a why that's that big and you have this force that's driving behind you, do people know? If they don't, they should.
Yep.
Like, if your why is big enough, they should. If you're trying to get at the hearts of men, if you're trying to change the world, if you're trying to get, trying to create legacy, right? Like, do people around you know that? If they don't, they should. Your message should, it's one thing to say it. It's another thing to do it. We talk about this a lot, right? But we shouldn't just be hearers. We should be doers too.
Yeah.
The Bible talks about that all, there's verses around that. And I think it applies in business just as it does in our personal lives. I mean, we should absolutely be doing.
Yeah. I think it also goes back to passion. I think that you, at your core, have to be passionate about what you're doing as well. So if you're doing something, I think along with your why, if you have given everything that you feel like you have, because there's a point to giving up without actually trying to achieve something. If you're just going about your day and you're like, hey, I'm doing real estate, I'm doing business, and 6 months down the road, you're like, man, I don't think I can do this anymore. But if you take a look at yourself and feel like you actually gave it everything you had, then I think that's where I feel like, in my opinion, where you can really assess if you gave it everything you have to look when your back's up against the wall. Like, okay, I'm at this point, like, am I going to quit?
Boy, you got Coach D coming out, man. Okay, so check it out. I don't give a rip if you're cleaning toilets.
Yeah.
If your why's big enough, you can be happy and content and joyful cleaning toilets. I've been there. I've done it. I know. I didn't give a rip if I was cleaning toilets. Yeah. I didn't give a rip if I was mowing grass. Didn't give a rip if I was personal training. Didn't give a rip if I was coaching. If you don't have passion, what are you doing in life? Get passionate about something.
Yep.
You have this gift that we breathe this air every day. We be around people like you guys every day. Get a little fired up. If you need to hear that, I'll be the kick in your pants all day long, okay? You just give us a call. I'll give you 24/7 access to this right here, and we'll get you fired up. I'm serious. Like, at the end of the day, I see too many people in today's time, and it's easy with social media and all the negative stuff that's portrayed everywhere, right? In the news and the media, everything. You got to block that stuff out, man. You got to stay in your lane and understand there is good in this world. There's hope in this world. There's joy in this world. And if you ain't a little fired up about something every day, you might not be doing the right thing. Get fired up. Man, don't get me fired up anymore. I'll keep going.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Hey, well, let's look at because it's good to hear that, but then let's look at what's going on in the market. Well, I'm going to look at the macro. Let's look at the macro level, because there's people out there like, yeah, but. So the
naysayers. That's right.
Let's look at the but.
Or they call themselves the realists. Come on, man.
Let's look at the but and see what So let's look at the macro. We'll look at Amarillo
Let's
specific.
do it.
And then figure out, because these still applies. What you heard for the last however many minutes still applies, but let's look at what you're looking at possibly.
So we gave you first half, don't give up. Now we're going to give you all the hard truths, and then we're going to bring it back and tell you to not give up again.
Yeah. Exactly right. So, okay, so this comes from realtytimes.com, and they get some of their information from NAR. Over 60,000 agents have left in 2023. So that means over the last 7 months now, where we're at, over 60,000 agents have left the business. According to NAR, the all-time high was in October of last year. We're talking about the height of the pandemic. That's when it started to really build up with agents. They saw the market was booming. If you came in during that time, you're at the all-time high, and you saw a great market. I mean, I was told
stick a sign in the yard, get 8 offers. That's a day, right? I mean,
exactly right.
Easiest
times, right?
Come
But you're not looking at that now, right? Yep. Home sales of single-family homes are down 42% so far to year to date.
Assumable loans are the biggest thing in lending right now, taking over somebody's mortgage that had a 2 or 3% interest rate.
Absolutely. We need to talk more about the assumable loans. They are definitely becoming the thing.
Yep.
From April 2022 to April 2023, median prices have declined of homes by 4.1%. And also, lastly, I'll say this before we get to the Amarillo market, the number of Americans that are saying they are open to the idea of buying a home with a family or friend has just shot up. So we're talking about co-ownership, and we've talked about that.
We've been talking about this.
Exactly.
We've said this in some previous episodes.
Yeah, where the market is missing
Alpha Pros contractors.
Exactly, where the mother-in-law quarters or the second living quarters is the market that's being missed right now.
That's
exactly.
Right.
So what is Amarillo looking like?
So let's go back to June of 22 and now to June of 23. Where are these
stats coming from?
So this is directly from our local MLS at the Amarillo Association. Okay. So we've got our average list price in June of 2022 was $312,494 compared to the average list price in June of this year at $364,183.
That's a big increase.
Big increase. But let's see. So average sale price from June 2022 to June 2023, in last year, it's $269,980. To this year is $248,081.
Average sold price is down.
Yeah. Average sold price is down.
Yeah.
So what's interesting about that too is I bet if you look, your list to sold price, what is that looking like?
Let's see.
Because here's what's crazy with the way the local market is. I mean, inventory here locally is up. I think last year, a year ago, we got down to 0.9% of inventory, 0.9 months basically. So a normal market is technically where you have a neutral market, meaning you could stop sales, like no more homes coming to the market, and you have 6 months worth of supply. That's a normal market. And so for the last several years, we've been in a seller's market, deeply in a seller's market, where we have so little inventory, which basically comes back to 2008 when home building crashed, when the market crashed, everything crashed, foreclosures were going through the roof, short sales, everything else. The building, new home construction fell down to where it was supposed to be. And we just caught up, actually. We hit a point last year where we had caught up to that level. And then it decreased again because of inflation and interest rates. So as new construction started peaking back up and catching up to where it was supposed to be from all those years ago at the last crash, it never caught back up because of inflation and interest rates. So we're still seeing supply shortages all across the country. What's interesting in Amarillo, though, we have almost 3 months, if not 3 months of inventory currently. Mm-hmm. So there's more homes on the market now than there has been in 2 years.
Right.
So what does all of this mean? Nationally, you're seeing a frenzy of, depending on your geographic location, things look like they're down.
Things look like they're down nationally. Yep.
So in the mind of a consumer, this isn't a good time to buy. This isn't a good time to sell. Yep. Interest rates are high. Everybody's panicked out there in the marketplace, right? Nobody knows what's normal.
Yeah, because what they're hearing right now, well, I mean, and I'm not saying these are untruths, and to a degree, but inflation is up. Yeah, that's true. And interest rates are up. So those lead to, and I'm talking nationally here, those lead to bad forebearers of news, right?
60,000 agents left the
60,000
business.
agents.
Why did that happen? Well, because if you were an agent in the last 2 years, you didn't have the skill set, you didn't have the right why, you didn't have the right fear versus faith mentality. You weren't consistent in your business. If you didn't schedule and prioritize, if you didn't have the right support group, you didn't have mentors and help, you didn't have your why stuck to your vision board or in your head or on your heart every single day, 60,000 people left the business. I'm not saying that it's all just from those reasons. Life happens.
Right, exactly. But also there's a little bit of, and we've talked about this before, and I liked what the analogy you gave me is, if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I don't have all those, so am I going to fail? No, because you can, in this business and whatever entrepreneurial business that you're in, I think this applies too, you can fly the plane while you're building it. Mm-hmm. So fly it as hard as it may be, but keep building it.
Yep.
Right.
The one of the worst things I see people in this industry get into, and I would say business owners in general, is confidence comes with experience and time, right? You're going to get confidence from going through things, from learning things, from growing in things, and experiencing pains, problem solving, all the things. But the one thing that I see too many agents in our industry doing is they come into the business not knowing anything. They want to have everything perfect before going and finding the business. And this is the one industry that's backwards. If you're a small business owner, I would almost argue that'd be the same way for you. Mm-hmm. You got to go get your business now, because what happens today is going to affect you in 90 days, 120 days. Mm-hmm. And so if you're slacking today for 30 days and 120 days, you're not going to have anything coming in. So you could have the biggest why, the biggest heart, the biggest care in the world, but if you're not getting your wheels going, all that's for nothing.
Yep, it's the activity.
It's the activity, man. Yep. So at the end of the day, what you're seeing on the national level, and just know this, like depending on, like for example, our previous market in Oregon, right? In Oregon right now, things are crazy too. But what's weird is even though inflation happened, Corvallis, Oregon at the time was the 11th least affordable city in the nation to live in. We're still at a 99% list of sold price up there. Even given interest rates going through the roof, all the things happening. And so I think to a degree, you're going to have microcosms with all this stuff nationally, right? But locally here in Amarillo, no matter what your views are, here's kind of buyer's indexes right now, consumer confidence. You're starting to see buyers see this back as normal now because it's almost been going on for almost a year and a half, 2 years now.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So you're starting to see normal seasonality too, right before school time, late summertime, people start getting the wheels going again. They're ready to get settled in because they know fall's coming. They know schedules are coming, all the things, right? So, but what are you telling buyers and sellers? What are you telling agents out there in the business, right? Because we're talking about not giving up. So how do you not give up in this market? What's important for that?
Well, I think that's, I'm sorry, what are you fixing?
Nope, go for it. No,
what I was going to say is there's really, even though we're looking at that, don't real estate is good, and I would say these three things. You're building long-term appreciation when you buy a home, right? Amarillo right now, and even I would say Amarillo Canyon, I mean all this area is great, steady rental income. If you're an investor, I mean the rental potential is
the 1% rule. I can find it all day long here, and I promise you that's hard to find nationally.
Yes, right. Because there's just so many businesses that are finding a home in Amarillo that we're having a housing shortage, right? So the rental right now, the rental investment potential is great right now, and then also real estate is a hedge on the inflation, right? Mm-hmm. You have a steady real estate hedge right there.
Yeah, I mean, just think about that, right? If you'd have bought a home last year, that $311,000 home that you were talking about last year, right, is now $340,000. So I know there's a lot of people out there that maybe listen to this podcast that don't make $30,000, $40,000 in a year. Well, this is why I'm saying that, like, you just have to know the right resources, have the right people around you, right? Because no matter what market you're in, no matter what's happening in your business, no matter where you're at in your business, if you're thinking about giving up, getting into the industry, starting a company, whatever it is, closings happen every day.
Yep.
If you're a window washer, people need their windows washed every day.
Right.
If you're a title company, closings happen every day, right? Like no matter what industry you're in, I'm pretty sure those things still happen every day. So I think it's time for people to get rid of the excuses, man. I do. I think we lean on excuses, victim mentality. I like at the end of the day, I'm not saying life doesn't happen. And I'm not saying you don't go through hard things. But I am saying you get to determine how you approach those things, how you overcome those things, and you can either run the other way or you can embrace it and get over it and you can conquer it.
Yep.
There's your two options. If you're middle of the road, you're going to fail anyway. You have to learn how to overcome obstacles in your life. And if you don't, in business, in personal life, it's going to affect you. It'll affect everybody around you. You have to be able to do that. So the steps that we're giving you guys today, please understand you can apply this in your life. You can apply this in your business. For those, if you're one of the agents that left the industry and you just happen to be watching this, give it another shot. Reach out, talk to us.
Yeah.
There's ways that we can help you in business and life that to get you to the next step.
Yep. But it truly goes back to yourself. You have to be honest with yourself.
Yep.
At the end of the day, if you're looking in the mirror and you're like, man, did I give it everything that I had today?
Yep.
That is literally a goal of mine. I've had this conversation with my wife several times where my goal at the end of every single day is to come home, even if I'm completely worn out from a long day, from work, from showings, from going on appointments, whatever that looks like. But then I get home and the most important things in my life are suffering because of that, then, I mean, that's a conversation, obviously, that we need to have.
Yep.
But my goal at the end of every single day is to, like, if I am not physically crawling in the door, then I have enough energy to hang out with my family.
Yep.
Because that's the most important thing to me.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
I think it's easy to get that flip-flop, too.
100%.
Yes, it is. Oh,
It's
yeah.
so,
And haven't
I
we
mean,
all?
I failed at that, bro.
Yeah, I have too.
I tell everybody that comes in here, I told you guys, I don't want you to fail the same ways I have, because if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing and being good leaders, good coaches, good partners in business and in life, I'm like, we have to help watch each other stepping in these holes, right? Like, if I've already been through it, there's no reason you should go through it.
Right.
I can help you, right? Same with you. I've watched you get through 2 kids and a wife and going through crazy hard challenges, be successful, still on your feet, taking a couple gut punches, but you're still in the corner diving, dodging, ducking, throwing a couple of counters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's what it takes. That's what you got to do to get through some of these things. And that's what I want the listeners to know. Like, all of you guys that are listening to this, like, you got to make a decision. Like, if it's not detrimental to you or your family, don't give up. Like, don't give up. There's things out there for if you're a buyer and you're freaking out over interest rates. There's assumable loans. You can get a 2 or 3% interest rate. You just got to talk to an agent who knows how to do it.
That's right.
If you're an investor, my margins are tighter because of inflation, because of interest rates, because of blah 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 blah. Like I just told you guys, we have 1%ers here in Amarillo all day long. I just bought 2 properties this week, and I did it with no money out of pocket. I promise you, there's ways in every industry to make it happen today. You just got to know how to do it. You got to find the right people. You got to find the right resources. All the steps that we've given you. Anyhow, what else? What are some other ways that you think are important for people to know, either about the market, not giving up, et cetera?
Well, I would say just on that last point is, like, it's okay if I would just say that one of the things you got to recognize too, and just be okay with, is sometimes you're just not gonna succeed and you're gonna fail, and that's hard to hear because people are like, they have that, well, I'm just not doing every single thing right, so it's not the way I want it, so I'm failing at it. So I'm like, no,
Yeah, I'm gonna
it's
give
okay.
up.
Yeah, I'm gonna give up. No, I don't accept that. So if you've fallen down, if you failed at it, that's okay. Just get back up, get back on your feet.
Fail forward.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Try different things.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly right. Hey,
Something's not
we had
working,
to
try something else.
Exactly. What try to be creative in the way that you find your clientele. Be creative in the way that you have your listing presentations or your buying presentations. Be creative in those ways. Work on every day. Even if you're just working on one aspect of your business.
I love something else you said too, going back to the beginning of the episode, is you were saying, you were telling everybody about you being in real estate. Don't be a silent agent. Don't be a silent agent. If you're an agent listening to this, What's your brand? Figure out your brand. Get it out there to as many people as you can across all platforms, everybody locally. That's your number one thing right now. Because in a downturn of a market, if you want to call it a downturn, it's not really a downturn, but more of like a slight correction that's still not correct. But but if you're an agent out there and you're not working on your brand right now, and you're not getting out, as Sam did, in front of as many people as you can, you're failing. Because what's going to happen if and when interest rates come down again? We already know. Everybody in this business knows. We're licking our chops waiting because we know it's going to get nuts like it did 2 years ago. So if you're a buyer, listen, get in the game. If rates come down, great for you because your appreciation in equity probably is going to skyrocket just like it did for the last 2-3 years. Because when there was a feeding frenzy, what happens to prices? They go up. I think you're going to see everybody's like, oh, well, yeah, there's going to be more listings too. Well, yeah, but do you know how many buyers have held out for a year and a half because of rates? You know how many buyers got priced out that now have saved more money, that now may have better jobs, right? Like there's all of these factors that still made on both sides. Whenever you decrease either inflation and or rates or both, that market's going to get nuts again. So I promise you, I'm just saying it now, you don't want to get caught in that market. If you've been thinking about buying, if you can do it today and you got a steady job and it's right for you, don't wait, in my personal opinion. If you're a seller and you don't know where to go, there's products out there for you too that you can go somewhere right now, pay cash for a home. Even if you're not a cash buyer, there's products. You can go buy a home cash, stick it out, sell your home afterwards. There's things out there for you. So like I said, you just got to know the right people, but don't give up.
Okay, so one of the other things maybe the last thing I want to bring up. I don't know. They come to my mind.
He said, I don't know.
Wake up, man. How important
Wake up,
to
tell
you?
me now.
Wake
do you really
up.
want to love me forever? Oh, oh, oh.
You can.
Or
you can
am I
edit that
caught
last part
in a
out.
hit and run?
That's a great song, by the way.
I'm not quitting my day job. Don't worry.
When you wake up.
When you wake up. Where was I going? Okay, so.
My bad, bro.
Well, that's okay. No. I like this song. So Paula Abdul, I know it. When you wake up, and believe me, I felt it this morning because me and my son stayed up last night talking about history. Kind of crazy. I don't know. It's a story of its own. But we had a great time. That's what counts. When you wake up, try to wake up. I start out being physically active. Is that important to you? I wake up, I go get my morning run in or my morning jog, even if you're doing 10 push-ups or 10 sit-ups. Man, just something about the morning that if you start it out right, it can make the rest of your day.
I love that, dude. Activity's great. I heard a pastor said something here a couple weeks ago that just, man, it's been catching me on fire, dude. We're created as spirit beings, right? So you have this circle. The biggest circle is your spirit. Second biggest circle is your soul. Third biggest circle is your body. If you would prioritize your life in that manner, meaning the time you're spending in each of those outlets, if one of these outlets is lagging and you're taking over one area versus the other, get it back in check. And I think what was cool about what you said is he said that his most important one, he's the best every single day is around 3 p.m. When are you the best? When are you mentally clear? When is your focus there? That's the time to give one of those areas your best. And so for you, getting up, getting going in the mornings, that's what I do too. When I get up, I like working out right then because one, it gets me going, gets me out of the day. I'm not in the best mental clarity then, and so I feel like that's not my best to give. Well, if that's my third lowest guy on the totem pole, that's in check, right? Because it's not my best.
Right.
I'm not giving myself my best. I want to be able to be in a mode and a mindset and a heart posture where on such these different levels, life, business, all the things, our relationships, everything we're going through. I love that you wake up and work out. I love that too. Shaye, do you have any morning routines, man?
Man, it used to be. I've gotten out of it with having a new baby at home because long night.
His routine's wait, diaper. Wait, what? Formula, what?
Yep, just survive.
Hey, that's right. We're just trying to get by right now.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding. But for real, that's really kind of where it's at. But it used to be before that. There was actually a season that I went through where I have an incredible person that I know. I would consider him a mentor of mine, and he is really, really big on starting your morning off in that way, so you can set your day up for success. So going to bed, I would just read myself affirmations. I would write things down and be like, okay, this is how I'm going to end my day. And then when I would get up in the morning, starting by reading a book or doing a Bible study or something that is getting my mind woken up and moving in a positive direction, that was huge for me. I also used to work out in the morning, so my day would start like 5-ish, 4:30, 5 o'clock. Some days a little bit later, maybe like 5:30. But when I would wake up, that was the first thing that I would do. I would go get a drink of water, drink a whole 8 or 10 ounce glass of water, whatever.
Right.
And then start by reading a book.
I love that, man.
That's how I started my day, and it was every single day. I mean, by the end of the day, I was gassed because getting up 4:30, 5 o'clock, it's early.
Man, I'll tell you what's crazy is we might even need to do another topic on this, on like how to actually go about your day the right way. But I think we've given enough tips and bits. Sam, thanks for sharing your story about Manitou Springs with your son, because it brought up a valuable lesson that hopefully some of you out there listening could take. Don't give up. Don't give up. We've given you basically 7 steps to not give up.
10 steps, 10 breaths.
10 steps, 10 breaths. Chunk it down.
Yep, one at a time.
Yep. I love it, man. I appreciate you guys listening. If you have any questions or comments, or maybe you're struggling through something right now, or maybe you're just not seeing tomorrow in the best light with your business, with anything you're facing right now, give us a call, shoot us an email. You can find us at amarillorealtalk.com. Happy to help. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for keeping it real.